go put mine on.
All right, welcome to First and Filoni. This is the week 6 episode. A little bit different setup here, guys. So if I'm not looking at the camera, I apologize. We had a hurricane last weekend, so things are a little bit disheveled at the apartment. Thankfully, Hurricane Ian here in Southwest Florida didn't hit us, which is good. Or it did hit us, but like it didn't affect where I live at in my apartment as much. Just a little bit of flooding. But the rest of Fort Myers unfortunately got hit pretty good. So prayers and thoughts and prayers to them out there. But joining me as always, the man that himself, back from a 40,000-hour work week last week, Andrew Cooper. How's it going, buddy?
What's going on, bud?
All right. So last week, drum roll, please. Update on records. Did you see what I did last week, my friend?
Yeah, wow. Every blind squirrel finds nut every once in a while.
I know it. 10-0 last week. I just looked at it today. Couple of them I thought were going to be a lot closer than they were. The TCU Oklahoma game, but TCU just showed us what I've been saying, what you've been saying all year, that Oklahoma has a good offense. Don't know where their defense is, and they had a lot of transfers. I was hoping we'd have a general booty sighting after, unfortunately, Dylan Gabriel got hurt, but I'm not sure if he even got in. I didn't watch the end of the game because it was a blowout.
To be honest, I didn't get to watch any football all weekend, so
Okay,
I really
so
couldn't tell
no games of the week then for you?
No, I mean, if I had to pick a game of the week, I'm gonna go with the Kansas Duke game.
I watched a little bit of that. It was pretty good. It was very entertaining. Duke's not a bad team this year.
Not at all.
Yeah, so I had the OSU Baylor game, a little bit biased here, Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders, he sees ghosts when he plays Baylor. His career is 10 interceptions before the game started against Baylor in his 3 or 4 other starts, which is most and against any other team for him. And he played really well. The Oklahoma State defense was there. Baylor, not bad either. That quarterback they have. And I texted you a couple times on him. He's pretty good.
Yeah, you said look pretty sharp.
Yeah, he looked pretty accurate, pretty sharp. So I don't think Baylor's out just yet. I think the Big 12 is ripe for the picking right now. I can see. All right, guys, sorry for that technical difficulties there, but yeah, what I was saying was I think the Big 12 is kind of ripe for the picking. I don't think there's one singular team. I think the Oklahoma State Baylor game is a good indicator. But it all kind of depends on how the conference plays go, and we're right in the heart of it, right in the start of it. We'll go ahead and go to our favorite segment of the week, the Bambard Kick of the Week. I had one ready to go, but Clemson won. I was going to say the BT Potter when he missed it at the when NC State was trying to mount a comeback there, but I didn't see any bad kicks this week, so I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to go with the Mizzou kicker going 5 for 5 versus Georgia.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So what
he was fired up too, man.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, they put on a show. Is Georgia in trouble? Do you have any, or do you have a Bambard Kick of the Week? I should say.
No, I don't. I think I'm gonna have to flip it this week and go with Mizzou's kicker just from watching the highlights. No, I don't think Georgia's in trouble. I just think they had a small little hiccup, bump in the road.
Well, it's 2 weeks in a row. Because last week, remember, Kent State put it on them until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they're not trying to show everything. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair. And I think Mizzou's better than a lot of people think, too. I think that's something that we both kind of said at the beginning of the year. They have that freshman wide receiver. He'll probably transfer, but, like, he's pretty good. And, I mean, they're no slouches. So, I think Mizzou's kicker gets off of the Bambard Kick of the Year from last week when he missed the game winner for Auburn with his performance last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing here, we got a couple other segments here before we pick games. It was kind of a busy week in college football this week. I proposed this question because I thought of it over the weekend watching Michigan and Iowa play, watching Wisconsin lose to Illinois. Is the Big 10 or Big 12 better right now? Or has the
Yeah.
Big 12 caught up to the Big 10 as the number two conference?
I think the Big 12's really fallen off.
Big 12 is pretty much up for grabs, man. Oklahoma State 7-0. Oklahoma did lose. TCU's undefeated as well, which is a big matchup this weekend.
I got this totally mixed up. My bad.
You think the
I'm
Big
thinking about
Ten's
the
falling off?
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Ten's definitely fallen off.
I agree. I don't think we have. I wouldn't say that
Dude,
they
if it
passed
wasn't
them.
for Ohio State and Penn State, I think the Big Ten's garbage this year. Minnesota let me down. So
so in our defense there as well, Ibrahim didn't play, and I think that's a key. That's their best player. I mean, Tanner Morgan can do all he can do, but when you're losing arguably the best running back in college football, that's kind of like a big thing to take handle of. But I agree. I think Big 12 is a step closer. I think this helps them out when they're trying to get new teams. Like Houston, I would imagine they're going to come into the Big 12 here in a couple years. I can see maybe Cincinnati moving over since West Virginia's there to the Big 12. But I think it proposes maybe instead of a 2-conference league like everybody's saying, maybe a potential 3-conference league where you have the west side of the country with the Big 12, you have the north in the Northeast with the Big 10, Southeast with the SEC, and then the group of Power Sixes in the next conference, whatever that may be. Your
I would think
UCF,
it would do
stuff like that.
I think it would do like an East region and a Southeast region.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I can see that too. I don't know. I think it's up for grabs here, and it's wherever the money can come at this point. So, next question I wanted to ask you here, and it was off of the Wisconsin coach firing. Which is the hottest job in college football right now that's open? You got Nebraska, you got Colorado, Arizona State, Wisconsin, a couple other ones as well, and potential ones coming up. Auburn potentially. I'll even let that slide. Of if you think there's going to be an opening at the end of the year, which one would you take as a coach?
Man, I don't know. It's tough. Wisconsin's got a lot of rich history. So does Nebraska. But if I was a coach and I was a up and coming coach, I don't really know if I would dive into the SEC right away. Because if you get fired within 4 years, then you're back to being a defensive coordinator somewhere. So I believe I would go to, Wisconsin, somewhere that I know that, some players want to go to regardless. You know what I'm saying? Something to kind of jumpstart your career.
I think it's a tricky question, right? Because you raise a good point. If it's an established coach coming from like a mid-major type school, sorry guys for the technical difficulties again. I will be patching this together, so hopefully it'll be a little seamless, but the hurricane has affected our internet out here, so I apologize there. But what I was saying was you kind of raise a good point, right? Like if you're an established coach, SEC Auburn probably is the way to go, right? They got the history. You're going to be in the SEC, or Wisconsin even. But if you're a new coach, I mean, just to kind of get started,
I would say Arizona State.
Right. Arizona State would be a good one. I even think Colorado could be potentially good because they're in the Mountain West. So a little bit smaller of a school to build up. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not going to pass up Wisconsin. I'm not going to pass up Nebraska or Auburn either. So, and outside of NC State, which team, if you could have your pick, which team would you want to coach? And don't say Alabama because that's an easy answer.
I'm definitely not doing that. You talking about out of what you just named or in the country?
Out of anything. If you had your choice of the job, which job would you take?
Out of any school in this country.
Any school in this country outside of NC State.
Probably Carolina, so I can run it in the ground. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, man. That's pretty tough. Man, I like South Carolina. I think I'd do like a South Carolina or maybe a Florida State on the East Coast. If I had to go west, I think I would definitely pick uh probably Arizona State for real. They got some
Yeah,
sweet jerseys.
I don't think I would choose a Western school. Those schools kind of intrigue me as well. I wouldn't pick, say Notre Dame and Oklahoma State are out of the pictures. App State is intriguing to me because they're always good. UCF is intriguing. Honestly, JMU is intriguing after the run that they've been on. Kind of like a smaller type school because you don't necessarily want to pressure the bigger schools yet. But I mean, if I had a bigger school as well,
I would probably have to
Penn
throw
State, man.
Virginia Tech in the mix too with that
Yeah,
entrance they
Virginia
got on
Tech,
a night game.
Penn State, would be a good one. Tennessee would be a good one.
Oh yeah,
Georgia Tech, bring them back to prominence, like
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
I'm going where the good-looking blondes are.
Okay, so we were gonna do early playoff predictions. Do you have your four, or do you want to wait till next week?
Uh, I mean, I think they pretty much speak for themselves in the top four right now.
So you have Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Clemson, right? No, Ohio State, Michigan. Ohio State,
Yeah.
Michigan.
Until
So
one of them fumble.
I have an interesting one, and I'm kind of throwing this out here. I have Bama 1, Clemson 2,
No way.
Ohio State 3, and Oklahoma State 4, with the outskirts of Michigan, and then USC and Utah, and then Georgia coming in there as well. Clemson, Ohio State can be interchangeable, but I have a feeling it might be closer to that than two teams in the SEC this year. There's too many good teams, I think, for them to put in two SEC schools.
Yeah, they're gonna do it.
They might. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get to the games. We have a lot of good ones on here. If you're new to the show or a returning user, you know that we try to pick top 25 teams or good matchups, and we have quite a bit of them here. We'll go ahead and start off with the easy one. Texas A&M at Alabama. Alabama is favored by 24 points.
Alabama all the way.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about this. I put it on the schedule because it was one of the ones that we've highlighted. Jimbo did beat them last year, and they were favored pretty heavily. But I have Alabama as well. I think they win easily. Bryce Young was hurt. I'm not sure if he's back,
Nah, he's all right.
but they're gonna, if he is hurt, they're just gonna plug in the next 5-star dual threat athlete, right? Like who cares? I mean, I can go out there and throw for 400 yards with Alabama. Okay, so easy one. We'll run through that pretty quickly. We have the next biggest spread on here. We have Washington State at USC. Washington State is 4-1. They've played really well this season, and this one I wasted a lot of time on, and I probably shouldn't have. Who do you got?
USC.
You got USC.
Is it at the Coliseum?
It's at the Coliseum, yeah.
Yeah, I got USC.
That's why I picked USC. I think if it was on the road after what Oregon State did to them, I don't have faith in USC right now. I just don't. So, I kind of want to put this one on upset alert, but I'm not going to. There's a couple other ones that I might, but we'll see. Okay, cool. So we'll start with another one here. We'll go with the game day game. We have TCU at Kansas. TCU's favored by 7. Are you gonna go with Kansas and the Dream, man? Are you? This is one that you and I talked about last Saturday night. Like this was.
I really, really want to, dude, but Kansas has been getting really lucky lately. And TCU laid the absolute smackdown on who was it?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
And
I just think
their quarterback for TCU has not turned the ball over since taking the starting job week 1.
Yeah, I just think TCU's really on a roll. I like Kansas.
It's a good
I
story.
just Yeah, it's a good storyline, but unfortunately, I think they
I'm
falter this week. I
on
think TCU's going to.
I'm going TCU as well, but you best believe I'm gonna be cheering for Kansas. I love it. I love the story, man. They barely beat a Duke team. That Duke is good, but they're not. It's Duke. Like if it was basketball, it'd be a different story. So I'm with
Not
you there.
true.
I'm there. I'm with you there. Okay, next one, big spread here again. There's two more big spreads, and then we'll get to the closer games. We have Texas Tech at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored by 9.5 points.
I got Oklahoma State. Too much Spencer Sanders in this one.
Yeah, he's good. Their little Presley, number 80. Keep an eye on him. Last week they put him into the playbook a little bit more, and my goodness, he was shifty. He looks like a Deontay Johnson type that maybe can catch the ball a little bit better. You know, little speedy guy out there. I like Oklahoma State. I like them big, but Texas Tech, man, I love that coach. What he's doing, man. He's just kind of came out of nowhere, and he's my early candidate for coach of the year.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Another big one here. We got Arkansas at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is favored by 8 points, and um, I mean Mississippi State's good, man. They faltered versus LSU, which was concerning, but they've been laying the smackdown on people. They just beat the brakes off of Texas A&M last week by 20 points or something like that. 22
Yeah.
points.
I'll
I
let you
got
go first on
Mississippi
this one.
State. I
I
got
figured
Mississippi
that's who you
State.
were picking.
I like Mississippi State. I like Will Rogers. I want to pick Arkansas, but they lost versus Texas A&M. They lost versus Bama last week. They're in the downward thing. I think they lose this week to Mississippi State, and I think they lose next week. And let me pull up who they play. You'll say who you think, but they have another game next week that I have a feeling that they might lose. What is next week?
Where is that? Mississippi State.
That Mississippi State.
Cowbells.
Arkansas
Jesus.
is at BYU next week, and I think they might lose that game.
No.
That could be 4 in a row. So
I'm going to take
bounce
Arkansas
back.
on this one.
Yeah, you're gonna take
I, th-
Arkansas.
I think they bounce back this weekend. I think Pittman drinks a couple Miller Lights and he gets his team rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Arkansas at the beginning, but the way that they lost to Texas A&M, that heartbreaking fashion, and then Alabama just demolishing them, going back to number one. I have to say Mississippi State there, but I'm kind of a Mississippi State stan. Just with like this next game here that we have here, Tennessee at LSU. You already know who I'm picking, and I'm picking them big, even though it's in Death Valley, which scares
Oh
me.
my
It
God. I'm
scares me.
picking Hendon Hooker all day.
Yeah,
Rocky Top.
Rocky Top. I agreed. Hendon Hooker's too good. He's having a great season. Did you see the Tennessee Smoky jerseys they're going to be pulling out next time they're at home? I don't think they're coming out for this one. They're
Those are
like
the
gray
gray
and
ones, ain't
black.
they?
Yeah, the gray
Yeah, I
and
like
black.
those.
Woo,
Yeah.
they look good, man. Yeah, easy one again. I think as well. They're only -3, favored by 3 points, but that's the Death Valley. That's the where you go into Death Valley for LSU, you go in Jordan Hare, like that's a whole different atmosphere. There's ghosts in those places. Cool. Okay, we're rolling through these games. We're agreeing on them. So I mean, outside of the Arkansas Mississippi State game, do you want to go? There's one that I want to say for the end. So we'll go BYU at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's being featured back since they actually decided to play for Marcus Freeman this year. Notre Dame is favored 3.5 versus BYU, but BYU's 4-1, ranked 16th.
I think I'm gonna take BYU.
I have Notre Dame. Oh, you're gonna
What?
take BYU? This one was a tough one for me because
Night game or day game?
I want to say it's
South
3:30. It's
in
at
South Bend.
in South Bend. I don't think they might be wearing the greens. They might be wearing the greens, which if they are wearing greens for Notre Dame, that's usually a win.
Was Notre Dame on a bye last week?
They were.
Who
Yeah,
did BYU have?
Utah State. I had to think about that one. Oof.
Mm.
Yeah, 2-2. They had it. It's at it's still no time yet. They're the game at 7:30. So it's a night game too. Night game in South Bend.
You
It's
said
a
you're
tough
taking Notre
one.
Dame?
Yeah, I'm taking Notre Dame. I have to think that they got their stuff together, figured out their offense with Drew Pine. Marcus Freeman, he's a player's coach. Players love him. I want him to have a good season so he starts it off right. I don't think he's in jeopardy yet, but I think if they lose
If
2
they
or 3
play
more
like they did,
games,
if they play like they did against Carolina, they're going to be hard to beat.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, give me Notre Dame if it's a 7:30 game.
All right, flipping back to we both could be wrong on that. I think they're favored, but I think we're picking the underdogs. I just wasn't impressed with BYU versus Utah State last week. I think they kept it fairly close, and we saw Utah State. They played all right at the beginning of the season when we highlighted them, but I I don't know. I don't think so. Okay. We have 3 more games left here, so we're rolling through these picks. We have Utah at UCLA. Utah is favored by 4.5. Now, last
Yeah, this
week,
is a tough one.
this one is
UCLA demolished Washington State.
yep, or Washington last week.
Washington, yeah,
And
Washington.
everybody thought Washington was going to be the cream of the crop here as of late, and then they lose to Chip Kelly and UCLA. And is Chip Kelly back? Does he have his mojo again? Is he going to be where he was with Oregon years ago?
Mm, I just really don't like Chip Kelly, to be honest.
I don't. I don't like Chip Kelly. Don't like Brian Kelly. Don't like any of them.
Um,
I have Utah. I have Utah because they smacked Oregon State and Oregon State beat USC. I have them. But I am putting this on I don't want to say trap game, but like I'm putting on trap game notice.
I think I'm going to
Because of
take.
that.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Utah with Cam Rising. Too much experience.
Yeah, I mean they're starting to get into form, which is good. For my pick at the beginning of the season, I think it's going to be a test coming up. They got a tough schedule coming up at the end of the year, so Utah's gotta stay strong if they want to make the college football playoff, and I think they have an outside chance at it. So, Pac-12 in general, I think is an outside chance unless USC runs the board. I don't think they'll be represented again, but they all stink anyway. So, okay. And then we have your game here at Carter Finley, Florida State at NC State. NC State is favored only by 3.5.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
I
give
don't
you my
know.
pick so you can yell at me?
You're probably picking Florida State.
I'm picking Florida State. I hate to say it, man, but I think the loss last week, the way they lost it in the fourth quarter after just giving up, I think that gives the team trouble. And it's not it's what you said. There's zero running game. They don't have a running game. And I mean, Devin Leary's having a down year, but he can't do it himself. And their defensive line can't do it themselves. They're amazing, but they can't do it themselves. So it's going to come down, I think, to a last field goal in overtime. I have Florida State barely, but I have Florida State.
I'm gonna pick the Wolfpack 7:30 game in Carter Finley. I think the crowd's going to be the difference if they show up, if they're not too defeated from last week. I think Dorn. I think Dorn's going to challenge the offensive line this week, but
He has to.
with the play calling last week, I mean, for crap's sakes, you're going to run the ball on first down if there was screen, so they picked it up right away.
Well, you can look at their whole season. If it's first or if it's second and long, they're running a screenplay. They don't do a draw, they don't do a
No,
slant, they
it's
don't
the
take a
same.
shot. It's the
It's
same
the
play every
same
time because
same
they cannot
freaking play
establish the run.
calling. No, because they cannot establish a run. And Jordan Houston is not the answer. They need to focus more on Michael Allen and Demi Sumo. To me, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Houston, Houston. I mean, he's got the burst, but it just I don't like him. I really don't. I think he's too small. He gets touched, he falls down. But to me, it's going to come down to the offensive line, and I think last week was a big testament. I mean, I think we only had like 32 freaking rushing yards. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. I mean, Clemson's defense is pretty good. They're comparing it to the 2016 team, which I don't
Nah,
know
I
if they're
wouldn't.
that good,
They're not
but
that great. No.
they're pretty good. And I think overall the NC State Clemson game last week was good until the
Fourth
third
quarter.
quarter. Well, so end of the second half, the dropped interception by NC State was big, so Clemson could go down and score. And
Well,
then right before
to
half,
be
and
honest, I
then
still to this day I still think the refs missed that call with Shipley fumbling in the end zone. That
I
should have been a
agree.
touch.
That was a
That should have been a
fumble.
touchback.
Yeah, that was a fumble. I agree as well. But even then, the momentum was lost with that, and then in the third quarter, running down for that touchdown. I believe that was the Will Shipley touchdown in their first drive of the third quarter. Um, that just deflated the team, and that worries me. I want to pick NC State. I really do, and it's at Carter Finley, which makes me want to pick them, but I'm gonna go with Florida State on that one.
Well, just keep this in
uh,
mind. Jordan Travis has never played against NC State because he's always been hurt.
yeah, but
Now, we
Florida
didn't lose anybody on the defensive side last week, and the 3-3-5 held up pretty decent
yeah.
versus Clemson in the run. And Florida State likes to run. They like to throw too. But our secondary is a whole lot more experienced than what they've seen.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a
I
defeating
don't.
game. And
I
then
think NC State comes
who
out
does
mad as
NC
shit.
State have next week?
Uh,
Do you know
crap.
off the top of your head?
I want to say, is it a bye next
It
week?
might be a bye.
See,
No, they
see who
play
you got.
Syracuse. They play
Syracuse.
Syracuse
That's at
at
12:30
Syracuse.
too. Yeah.
At Syracuse at 3:30 and at Syracuse and undefeated. This is a tougher stretch than NC State probably would have thought at the beginning of the year.
And I believe after Syracuse is Virginia Tech on a Thursday night.
Well, that's fine. They stink. So, I mean, Tech's just not good this year. Like, I don't know.
I
I'm
think
with you.
NC State has to win this game
They
for
have
me.
to. They have to
If
win
they
this
if they
game.
don't, I expect Dorn to leave. I really do.
If they don't, Dorn's going to go to Nebraska. If they don't win this game, I hate to say it, they don't win this game, they're going to lose to Syracuse. They're going to lose to Wake. They'll finish 8-4.
No, without a doubt.
And it's still a bowl game, still a good season. 8-4 is not a bad season, but I had high hopes for NC State this year, man. I really did.
But you can't run the ball. You can't run the
No.
ball with the offensive line like that. So
Nope.
I'm still going to stick with my pick. I think Dorn's going to challenge him.
I hope so.
I got
I'm going to be cheering
back.
for him.
I got ESPN and the ACC network back this year because I'm switching providers. Screw Dish Network, by the way.
No, I'm with you.
I'll be watching.
I'm with you. I'm going to be cheering for NC State. You know I will, but I can't pick against. Same with last week. I mean, I was cheering for NC State versus Clemson, but I'm just worried
They played
about
really
the
well.
run
They
game.
played really. If they could play like they did in the first half against Clemson,
Yeah.
they're 100%.
Yep.
I would almost say if they played like that a whole game, they'd be hard to stop.
Yeah.
But
they got to have
like
a
I
run
said,
game, man.
I got. Oh yeah. I mean, I got to see what. Like I said, maybe Dorn and Beck sat down and had a talk about the play calling. I don't know. You'll be able to find out. I'm almost willing to bet you right now. I'll bet you $500 that. Seriously, I'm not even joking. $500. The third quarter, first possession, we do not score. 3 and out.
I mean, I'm not going to take that bet because I'm not going to be surprised.
No, I'm just telling you, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, this is the game. This is the game for their season. I think. Um, all right. And then the last game of the season, probably top 3 rivalry in all of college football. The Red River Shootout, Texas at Oklahoma. Texas is favored by 7 points because your boy Quinn Ewers is rumored to be back.
No, I got Texas all day.
I do too. I have Texas. I have them winning even if Quinn Ewers is back. I love Texas's defense. I think they're better than people think. They shouldn't have lost 2 games. Give props to Texas Tech for beating them. But with Quinn Ewers back, Heisman candidate. So we agreed there. So we only disagreed on 2 games this week. I'm gonna go ahead and start looking for locks of the week, but I'm gonna give you the floor for I want to hear your, and this is on the fly, guys, everyone on the fly, but give me your Heisman candidates update from Coop. Who do you got
Uh,
in any particular order? Who do you have leading it?
I'll be honest with you, dude. I think I had Stetson Bennett as a front runner. I think he's kind of slipped. So for now, I think I'm gonna have CJ Stroud up top, and then I'm gonna have Bama's QB Bryce Young. 3, I'm gonna go with Bama's. Who's the what is it? The linebacker
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson, and 4. Man, I don't know even who I'd pick for the 4th. To be 100% honest.
Yeah, I have a little bit different. I think CJ Stroud right now is the front runner. I think Stetson Bennett's gone down. After CJ Stroud, I have Hendon Hooker.
Oh
Um,
yeah, okay.
and then after Hendon Hooker, I think it's wide open. I think you can put Bryce Young there. I think you can put Dylan Gabriel. I think you can put um Caleb Thompson. Um uh Hold on,
So
I'm
would
just
you throw
writing this
Drake?
down.
Would you throw Drake May into the mix?
I wouldn't. They're not.
Hmm.
They don't have the record.
Yeah.
I think Drake May is flying up there, just like Will Levis. I was very impressed with Will Levis, even though Ole Miss won. I was very impressed with him. He got a little scared after after his finger came out of his skin, which is completely understandable. But yeah, I think and then I think Spencer Sanders has entered the conversation as well. Will Rogers on
Really?
the outside, Stetson Bennett on the outside. Um, I still think Anthony Richardson can turn it around. Um, I think Florida has a big game this week. That's actually going to be one of my locks. They beat the snot out of Eastern Washington last week. But they're minus 11 versus Missouri. I think Missouri's exhausted from that last week's win. And so I have one of my locks this week, guys, is University of Florida minus 11 versus Missouri. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. Missouri's impressed me, but I think that um, I think I think Anthony Richardson shows up. And I think after last week he needed that, which is what we want to see. The next one I have is
I would take.
Oklahoma State versus Texas Tech under 70. I think Oklahoma State's defense is going to be too much for Texas Tech. That was the question going in for Oklahoma State. And hoping that they don't go over 70 because they're one of the best offenses in the league. I think I'm going to go with the under 70 points because that's just a lot of points. And then I have Indiana plus 22 versus Michigan. I don't see it for Michigan. I don't. Iowa's a good defensive team. They were within 13 points last week. Do you have any other locks while I look for 1 or 2 more here?
I'd take the NC State game honestly.
NC State
Plus
minus
3,
3.5.
minus 3.5. Yeah.
You think they'll win by more than 4?
Yeah.
Okay. That's That's brave. Okay, and then
what do I got to lose?
I have two more. I have the Virginia Tech Pitt game, over 43.
Pitt's gonna kill them.
Yeah, that's the reason why I have it over 43. And then
I don't know.
one
Pitt
game
lost to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's true. 43 is really low, and I know what Pitt can do, and I know what Virginia Tech can't, and that's play football. The one game that intrigues me is, and I could go either the over under or the line is Georgia minus 30 versus Auburn. I want, because it's at Georgia and they've played like poop the last 2 weeks. I want to take Georgia minus 30, but I think I'll just take the over under for the Georgia game. I'll take the over 49.
You think Georgia scores that much?
It's a statement game. They dropped in rankings. They've had 2 really bad showings. And I think like I said, I'm just doing the over under. I'm going over 49. But I think combined they score more than 39, whether it's a close game or Georgia just blows them out. I think it's a statement game for Georgia. So that's the show, guys. Sorry again for the technical difficulties, the new camera placements. But we do appreciate everybody joining in, and we'll see if I can go 10-0 again next week with another great week there. Any last words, Andrew?
Nah, I got football back this weekend.
Yep.
Screw Dish.
We'll watch some football this week. This week, not as good as last week. We have some good ones, and I have a couple more questions next week. If you have any fan questions, if you want us to answer, let us know. Thank you guys again, and see you next week.